Intro. This audiobook uncovers the effortless secret, the mystical truth that the universe gives most when you do least. The life you desire isn't earned through toil, it is revealed through surrender. Let this journey guide you back to the effortless way, the effortless secret. Introduction. In the depths of your being lies a truth. The effortless secret. So simple yet so transformative that its power has been veiled by centuries of human striving. This ancient wisdom passed down through generations of mystics and sages speaks of a fundamental law. The art of receiving requires no effort at all. You have been conditioned to believe that achievement demands struggle, that manifestation requires force. Yet this very belief has created the very resistance that blocks your natural state of abundance. The universe in its infinite wisdom operates not through push and pull but through allowance and acceptance. Think of a flower reaching toward the sun. It does not strain or struggle. It simply turns its face to the light, allowing nature's grace to flow through its being. This is the way of the effortless secret, a path that has always existed, waiting patiently for your return. The power you seek does not need to be created or earned. It flows through you as naturally as breath fills your lungs. When you release the grip of trying, pushing, and proving, you step into alignment with the universal flow that has always been your birthright. This wisdom has been whispered through the ages. What you desire already exists within the fabric of your reality. Your role is not to force it into being, but to allow it to emerge naturally, like water flowing downhill or clouds drifting across the sky. The greatest masters understood this truth. Effort creates resistance, while allowance creates flow. In releasing the need to control, you activate a power far greater than any force you could muster through willpower alone. This journey ahead will guide you back to this forgotten truth. Through these chapters, you will rediscover the art of effortless receiving, not as a technique to be mastered, but as a remembrance of who you truly are. Part 1. The veil lifts. Remembering the effortless way. Chapter 1. The illusion of the journey ahead. Struggle. In a village among ancient hills lived a young woman named Mabel. The illusion of struggle. From her earliest days, she witnessed the heavy toll of endless striving, watching as townspeople bent their backs in constant labor, believing that only through relentless effort could anything worthwhile be gained. Each morning she too would rise before dawn, working her fingers raw in the belief that this was the only path to abundance. One misty morning, while gathering herbs in the forest, she encountered an elderly woman sitting peacefully beneath an old oak tree. The stranger's eyes held a knowing light as she spoke. "Child, why do you strain against what wishes to flow freely to you?" These words pierced Mabel's heart, challenging everything she had known. The old woman shared a simple truth. The flower does not force itself to bloom. The universe operates through the law of effortless attraction. When you understand this principle, you begin to see how your persistent striving actually creates resistance to what naturally wishes to flow into your life. Like a river meeting a dam, your effort often becomes the very obstacle to your desires. Most people have been conditioned to believe that without struggle there can be no reward. Yet this belief itself becomes the barrier between you and your natural state of abundance. When you release the need to force, push, or make things happen, you align with the natural current of universal flow. Consider Walter, a merchant who had spent years pursuing a prized contract, exhausting himself with elaborate strategies and ceaseless networking. One day, worn down by his futile efforts, he simply let go, surrendering his attachment to the outcome. Within a week, the very contract he had chased for so long arrived effortlessly through an unexpected connection who had been watching his work from afar. Walter's story illuminates a vital truth. Your striving often communicates a lack of faith to the universe. When you push too hard, you unconsciously broadcast doubt in the natural order of manifestation. True power lies not in forcing outcomes, but in the quiet certainty that what is meant for you cannot miss you. Ancient practice of surrender. Find a quiet moment as the sun sets. Light a candle and open your journal. Allow these words to flow from your heart onto the page. Where am I trying too hard to force what is already on its way to me? Write without judgment, letting your inner wisdom reveal the areas where you can release your grip and trust in the natural flow of abundance. Chapter 2. The whisper before the words. Among the rolling hills where the whisper before the words sheep grazed beneath endless skies, lived a shepherdess named Eliza. Each dawn and dusk she would send her prayers skyward, her voice growing hoarser with pleading. Yet the more she spoke, the more distant her desires seemed to become. In her solitude with the flock, she began to notice how the lambs found their mothers without a single cry, guided by an invisible knowing that transcended sound. You too may have filled countless moments with words, believing that the universe requires your voice to understand your desires. Yet the deepest truth lies in the space between your thoughts, in the silent realm where creation first stirs, before a flower opens its petals, before a star ignites its light. There exists a sacred stillness that holds all possibility. The law of attraction operates at a level far more subtle than speech or thought. It responds first to your state of being, the quiet vibration of your essence that requires no words to express its truth. When you cease the endless mental chatter of wanting and needing, you enter the fertile void where manifestation begins. In the quiet spaces between your breaths lies a power greater than any spoken prayer. Here, in the depths of silence, your desires already exist in their completed form. Your role is not to tell the universe what you want, but to attune yourself to the frequency of what already is. Harold, a wise man in a distant land, spent years seeking wisdom through sacred texts and endless contemplation. One day, exhausted by his mental pursuits, he sat beneath an ancient oak tree and simply became still. In that moment of perfect silence, all the wisdom he had sought rushed into his awareness. Like a gentle stream, he realized that his greatest insights had always come not from his seeking but from his surrendering into silence. This truth beckons to you now. The universe does not need your words to understand your heart's desires. In silence, you become a pure channel for divine creation. When you release the need to fill every moment with thought or speech, you enter the sacred space where manifestation is born. Ancient practice of silent becoming. Find a quiet space as the day's light softens. Sit comfortably and close your eyes for 5 minutes. Allow yourself to sink into complete silence. Do not pray. Do not ask. Do not even think about what you desire. Instead, feel the essence of your fulfilled desire as if it already exists. In this moment of perfect stillness, let your entire being resonate with the quiet knowing that what you seek is already yours. In the depths of silence. Chapter 3. The law before the law. In a forgotten corner of her grandmother's library, Elena discovered an ancient leather-bound tome. The Law Before the Law. Its chapters yellowed by time. As she carefully turned each delicate sheet, a single page caught her eye, its edges frayed, but its message clear as the law of allowing. In that moment, a truth that had been hidden for generations revealed itself to her waiting heart. You stand now at the threshold of understanding that same eternal wisdom. While countless souls have sought to master the law of attraction, they have overlooked its essential companion, the law of allowing. This sacred principle reveals that the universe operates not through force, but through surrender. The law of allowing teaches that your desires are not prizes to be wrestled from an unwilling cosmos, but gifts already set aside for your receiving. When you release the grip of control, you enter into divine partnership with the universe. This is not the surrender of defeat, but the relaxation into infinite possibility. Think of a river. It does not struggle to reach the ocean. It simply flows following the natural path laid before it. Similarly, your desires seek you as much as you seek them. The universe conspires in your favor, orchestrating circumstances far beyond what your limited perspective can envision. George, a prominent banker in a bustling city, lived by spreadsheets and careful calculations. Each morning he would meticulously plan his day, attempting to control every variable. Yet, despite his precise efforts, success seemed to elude him. One evening, exhausted from his endless strategizing, he finally released his iron grip on life's outcomes. To his amazement, opportunities began flowing to him effortlessly, better than anything he could have orchestrated himself. This truth now whispers to you. The universe's intelligence far exceeds your careful plans. When you surrender your need to control every detail, you allow this higher wisdom to work through you. This is not passive resignation, but active participation in the cosmic dance of creation. Allowing means trusting that what is meant for you cannot miss you. It means understanding that your role is not to force the river's flow, but to align with its current. In this sacred surrender, you become a conscious co-creator with the universe, the ancient practice of divine allowing. Throughout your day, whenever you feel tension or the urge to control, pause and softly speak these words of power. I do not chase, I allow. I do not force, I receive. Let each repetition gently dissolve the barriers between you and your natural state of receiving. Chapter 4. The Effortless Way of the Sage. Along the dusty roads that wind. The effortless way of the sage. Through ancient mountains, Clara trudged with weary feet, her shoulders bent beneath the weight of endless striving. As the sun cast long shadows across her path, she encountered an old sage, tending a garden unlike any she had seen before. The sage moved with unhurried grace, scattering seeds across the earth with gentle hands. Yet Clara noticed something peculiar. He carried no water, no tools, made no effort to tend the soil. Still, all around him plants flourished in impossible abundance. You too may discover, as Clara did, that the deepest mysteries of creation lie not in ceaseless activity, but in sacred trust. The ancient mystics understood a truth that modern minds have forgotten. Nature does not strain, force, or hustle. It simply unfolds according to divine law. Consider how a flower emerges from its seed. It does not push against the earth in anxious haste. It does not worry whether it will become what it was meant to be. In perfect trust, it allows the sun and rain to nourish its growth, surrendering to the wisdom that created it. The sages of old did not exhaust themselves with endless doing. They aligned with the cosmic order, understanding that true power flows not from effort, but from harmony with universal law. Their strength lay not in forcing outcomes, but in their unwavering faith in the invisible principles that govern all creation. In a small workshop in a quiet village, Eugene, the clockmaker, learned this truth through his craft. For years he had forced stubborn gears into place, his hands rough from wrestling with resistant metal. His timepieces never kept proper time despite his relentless efforts. One day, watching how light danced upon brass wheels, he understood. With gentle fingers, he began to calibrate rather than force, to listen rather than demand. Soon his clocks moved in perfect rhythm, as if time itself had yielded to his touch. The very mechanism that once defied his strength now obeyed his Understanding, like Eugene's clocks, your life responds not to force, but to alignment. The universe asks not for your strain and struggle, but for your trust and allowance. When you cease pushing against the natural order, you discover the effortless power of working with it. The ancient flame practice. In a quiet space, light a single candle for 1 minute. Observe how its flame rises without effort, dancing in perfect accordance with natural law. As you watch, speak these words of power. Like flame, I do not push, I rise. Let the truth of effortless being sink deep into your consciousness, teaching you the way of sacred non-doing. Chapter 5. Desire is magnetic when you let go. In a small village among rolling hills, Margaret tended her garden with desire is magnetic. Desperate hands. Each morning she would hover over her seedlings, checking and rechecking the soil, adjusting and readjusting the plants. Her desire for blooms consumed her thoughts. Yet despite her constant attention, or perhaps because of it, her garden remained barren. You see, within Margaret's story lies a universal truth that has echoed through the ages. What you grasp too tightly slips through your fingers like water. The ancient wisdom teaches that desire, when clutched with desperation, transforms into resistance. It is the law of paradox that governs all creation. The more you cling, the more life withdraws. When you release your grip on what you seek, you create space for it to flow toward you. This is not mere philosophy, it is the physics of manifestation. Your desires are like delicate butterflies that land only when you remain perfectly still. The universe responds not to your need, but to your knowledge. Think of the difference between a closed fist and an open palm. One can only hold what it already has, while the other remains ready to receive. This is the vibrational distinction between needing and knowing. Need speaks the language of absence, while knowing resonates with the frequency of fulfillment. In the marketplace of a distant city lived Raymond, a merchant, whose wisdom surpassed his wealth. One day, with only a single gold coin to his name, he encountered a hungry child. Without hesitation, he gave away his last possession. Those who witnessed this act thought him foolish, but Raymond smiled, for he understood the deeper law at work. Within days, his generosity returned tenfold through unexpected channels. Business opportunities appeared. Forgotten debts were repaid, and abundance flowed freely into his life. Raymond's power lay not in what he held, but in his willingness to release. By demonstrating trust in the universe's abundance, he aligned himself with its infinite flow. Your grip on desire is like Margaret's desperate gardening. It speaks of doubt rather than faith. When you clutch at your dreams, you unknowingly broadcast a frequency of lack to the universe. But when you release with trust, like Raymond with his final coin, you declare your alignment with abundance itself, the ancient practice of sacred release. Take a moment now in stillness. Upon a clean sheet of paper, write down your deepest desire, the one that makes your heart quicken when you think of it. Then beneath these words, inscribe this powerful declaration: I no longer need this. I choose it, and it is done. Feel the shift as you release the energy of desperation and step into the vibration of certainty. Chapter 6. The Echo of the Wish Fulfilled. In a sunlit studio at the edge of town. The echo of the wish fulfilled. Lillian stood before her easel, paintbrush poised with purpose. While others saw an empty canvas, she perceived the gateway to manifestation itself. With each stroke, she painted not just walls and windows, but the very essence of her future home. The morning light streaming through bay windows, the worn wooden floors that would carry her steps, the garden where roses would bloom. You see, Lillian understood a truth that lies at the heart of creation. Feeling is the secret. When you inhabit the emotional reality of your desire as if it already exists, you create a vibrational template that the universe must match. This is not mere imagination. It is the ancient art of energetic architecture. The power to manifest flows not from wanting but from being. When you step into the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you transcend the illusion of time and space. You become a living bridge between what appears to be and what already is in the eternal. Now, consider how a seed contains within it the full pattern of what it will become. Your desires operate by the same principle, the feeling of fulfillment you seek exists now as a frequency waiting to be embodied. This is the hidden teaching that mystics have whispered through the ages. The outer must conform to the inner. Frank, a postman who walked his daily route, grasped this wisdom in his own way. Though his position remained unchanged, he began carrying himself with the quiet dignity of the station supervisor he wished to become. He adjusted not his uniform but his energy, walking taller, speaking with gentle authority, making decisions from this elevated state of consciousness. Within months, the universe orchestrated what appeared to be a miracle to others, but was simply law to Frank. The supervisor position opened unexpectedly, and those around him noted how he had seemed prepared for this role all along. What they didn't realize was that Frank had been living from the end, allowing his physical reality to catch up to his energetic truth. This principle operates with mathematical precision. When you constantly hold the feeling tone of your desire, not as a future hope, but as a present reality, you create a resonance that must manifest in form. This is not pretending, this is not fantasy, this is the deliberate use of universal law, the sacred practice of living from the end. Find a quiet space where you will not be disturbed. Close your eyes and allow your breath to be gentle. Now step fully into the reality where your desire is already fulfilled. Feel the textures, hear the sounds, notice the details of this completed manifestation. Let every cell of your being vibrate with the truth of its presence. After 5 minutes, open your eyes and release it completely, knowing it is already done in the invisible realm, simply waiting to emerge in the visible. Chapter 7. Unseen hands at work. In a small room lit by candle. Unseen hands at work. Light. Edith's fingers moved steadily across torn fabric, weaving together what was broken. Night after night she worked and prayed, her heart heavy with a desire that seemed to echo into silence. Each morning she would rise before the sun, kneel by her window, and whisper her deepest wishes to the dawn. Yet no answer appeared to greet her faithful devotion. You must understand that the moment desire takes root in your heart, countless invisible threads begin to weave the tapestry of its manifestation. Like Edith's careful stitches in the dark, the universe works in patterns too intricate for mortal eyes to perceive. Your role is not to question the method, but to maintain unwavering trust in the process. When you plant a seed of desire in the fertile soil of consciousness, an entire universe of activity begins beneath the surface. Forces beyond your comprehension start arranging circumstances, aligning paths, and orchestrating meetings that will bring your desire into form. Yet doubt acts as a shadow that blocks this divine orchestration. Trust, on the other hand, accelerates the process by allowing these unseen forces to work unimpeded. Howard, a wise gardener, understood this principle deeply. He planted a magnificent oak tree, knowing well that its full glory might not unfold within his lifetime. Each day he tended to the sapling, not with anxiety about its growth, but with serene certainty in the natural law that governed it. The tree flourished beyond all expectation, its branches reaching toward heaven as if pulled by Howard's unwavering faith. The seen realm operates at a slower frequency than the unseen. What appears as delay is often divine timing, allowing all elements to align perfectly, just as a master weaver works from the back of the tapestry where the pattern appears chaotic. The universe weaves the threads of your desire in ways your human perspective cannot yet comprehend. The unseen realm responds instantly to your faith. It is only in the physical dimension that time appears to stretch between desire and manifestation. This gap is not a void. It is filled with infinite activity, orchestrating the perfect unfolding of your desire. Sacred practice. Stand in a quiet space, close your eyes and speak these words with the authority of one who knows. Even though I cannot see it, it is already on its way. Feel the truth of these words resonating through every cell of your being. Let them dissolve any doubt that clouds your vision of what is already in motion. Chapter 8. Receiving is the real work. Receiving is the real work. In a bustling marketplace, Agnes stood behind her stall, her hands weathered from years of giving. Each morning she would share her fresh baked bread with anyone who appeared hungry, yet when others offered assistance with her heavy baskets, she would turn away with a practiced smile. I manage, she would say, her shoulders bent beneath burdens she refused to share. You have been taught that strength lies in giving, in doing, in carrying your own weight. Yet this ancient wisdom reveals a deeper truth. The universe seeks balance in all things. When you refuse to receive, you create resistance to the very abundance you wish to manifest. The art of receiving is not passive, it is a sacred dance with the universe. Like breathing, manifestation requires both the outward flow of desire and the inward acceptance of its fulfillment. Most souls have mastered the art of asking, of working, of giving, yet they remain poor receivers, unknowingly blocking the very blessings they seek to attract. One day, a mysterious traveler approached Agnes's stall. As she reached to offer him bread, he gently caught her hand. Your giving is beautiful, he said, but by refusing to receive, you deny others the blessing of giving to you. His words struck her heart like a bell, awakening her to a truth long forgotten. Bernard, a merchant known for his stubborn self-reliance, learned this lesson through a different path. For years he declined every offer of assistance, every gift, every gesture of kindness, until illness forced him to accept help from his neighbors. As he finally opened himself to receive, something miraculous occurred. His life filled with unexpected blessings, as if the universe had waited for this permission to shower him with abundance. You see, receiving is not taking, it is completing the circle of creation. When you deflect help, refuse compliments, or insist on struggle, you interrupt the natural flow of universal abundance. The universe cannot give to a closed hand. Sacred practice. Throughout this day, become aware of your reflexive responses. Notice how often you say no, thank you to assistance, deflect praise, or choose the harder path when ease is offered. Each time you catch yourself refusing to receive, pause, take a breath, allow yourself to accept with grace. Remember, receiving is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is not taking, it is completing the sacred cycle of giving and receiving that keeps the universe in perfect balance. Chapter 9. Detach. And it will find you. In the misty highlands, Ruth stood. Detach, and it will find you. With her binoculars pressed against her eyes, scanning the horizon for the elusive golden-winged night and gale. The chaos of unfocused thinking gives way to the precise architecture of intentional creation. Your inner temple, properly tended, becomes a beacon that draws your desires into form. Remember, the universe does not respond to what you want, it responds to what you are. When you maintain your inner space with the same care Dorothy gave her kitchen, or the same respect James showed his thoughts, you create a frequency that naturally attracts abundance. Sacred practice. Choose a space, physical or mental, and declare it your inner temple of creation. If it's a physical space, cleanse and arrange it with mindful reverence. If it's a mental space, begin by clearing away mental clutter through gentle awareness. Place something meaningful, a crystal, a flower, or simply your focused attention in this space. Then speak these words with quiet authority. This is my inner temple of creation. Return to this sanctified space whenever you wish to align with the power of pure manifestation. Chapter 13. Faith as a force. High on the cliffs where waves meet stone, there lived a keeper of unshakable faith. Ancient wisdom disguised as a lighthouse keeper. Her name was Opal, and her story illuminates one of the most powerful forces in the universe, unshakable faith. Night after night, Opal climbed the winding stairs to tend the great lamp, while others whispered that she wasted her time waiting for a long-lost ship. She knew a truth beyond their understanding. Faith does not respond to what is seen, but creates what will be seen. You possess this same creative power when you stand firm in your knowledge. Despite all evidence to the contrary, you tap into the force that shapes reality itself. Faith is not hope draped in uncertainty. It is the absolute knowing that precedes physical manifestation. For 3 years, Opal polished the brass, trimmed the wick, and kept her vigil. She spoke to the ship as if it sailed just beyond the horizon. In her heart, there was no question of its return, and one moonless night through the thick fog, a horn sounded. The lost ship, guided by her unwavering light, found its way home. This truth extends beyond lighthouses and lost vessels. Consider Clarence, who worked the driest fields in the valley, while other farmers watched their crops wither under cloudless skies. Clarence would walk his parched earth at dawn, blessing each furrow as if rain had already fallen. The harvest is abundant, he would declare to empty fields. Others called him mad, but Clarence understood that faith creates before the eyes can see. When the growing season ended, his was the only farm that flourished, the soil itself responding to his unshakable certainty. You see, the universe does not respond to what you hope for or wish for or even pray for. It responds to what you know with such certainty that doubt finds no place to root. This is not blind faith, but rather the most practical force in existence, the power that preceded every invention, every discovery, every breakthrough in human history. Faith is not the absence of doubt, it is the presence of knowing. Like Opal's steady hand, tending the flame, or Clarence's daily blessing of barren ground, your unwavering belief creates a resonance that reality must match. This is the law that governs all manifestation. Certainty precedes evidence. When you declare a truth before its physical appearance, you are not denying reality, you are creating it. This is the forgotten wisdom that every master has known. Faith is not a response to conditions, but the power that shapes them. Sacred practice. Take a moment now to identify one area where your faith has wavered. Write it down with complete honesty. Then rise, stand tall, and declare with the authority of one who knows. My faith creates the path. Let these words carry the same certainty that guided ships home and made deserts bloom. For in this declaration, you are not merely speaking, you are creating. Chapter 14. You don't have to deserve it. You don't have to deserve. In a small village where shadows linger longer than light, there lived a seamstress named Beverly who measured her worth by the approval of others. Her fingers could weave beauty from the simplest threads, yet she believed herself undeserving of the very joy she crafted for others. You may recognize yourself in Beverly's story, for many souls carry this same hidden wound, the belief that worthiness must be earned through endless proving and perfecting. One morning, Beverly discovered a package wrapped in silk upon her doorstep. Inside lay a mirror. Unlike any other, its surface seeming to ripple like water in moonlight. With it came a note bearing these words, "Look deeper than your reflection, see what the universe has always seen, the truth Beverly discovered, and the one you must now embrace is that worthiness is not a prize to be won or a height to be reached. It is your natural state, as inherent as breath, as fundamental as consciousness itself. The universe does not measure your deservingness through accomplishments or accolades. It responds purely to the energy you emanate, and doubt in your worth creates the only barrier to receiving. Consider Leonard, whose tale echoes this eternal truth. Once a thief who believed himself marked by his past, he received an unexpected opportunity for redemption. The merchant he had once stolen from offered him a position of trust, yet it wasn't the opportunity itself that transformed Leonard's life. It was the moment he chose to believe he deserved it. Perhaps he thought, my worth is not determined by what I have done, but by what I am. This simple shift in perception altered everything. Leonard's life blossomed not because he had finally earned goodness, but because he remembered his inherent right to it. You see, worthiness is not a destination, it is your starting point, like a flower that needs no permission to bloom. Your right to receive life's blessings was established at the moment of your creation. The universe does not withhold abundance until you prove yourself. It waits only for you to remember who you truly are. Sacred practice. Stand before a mirror now. Look into your own eyes with the same compassion the universe holds for you. Speak these words with the authority of one who remembers their truth. I am already enough. I am already worthy. Let this declaration bypass the mind's doubts and speak directly to the soul that has always known its magnificence. Repeat this practice daily, not to convince yourself of a new truth, but to remember one that has always existed. Chapter 15. The energy you embody. The energy you embody. In a bustling city where dreams often remained whispers, there lived a school teacher named Evelyn who understood a truth most spend lifetime seeking: the power of embodied faith. You must understand this knowing runs deeper than mere positive thinking. Each morning, Evelyn would dress with the elegance of one who resided in a grand estate, though she lived in modest quarters. Her posture spoke of abundance, her smile radiated prosperity, and her gestures carried the grace of fulfilled desires. She did not pretend she knew. The universe responds not to what your lips request, but to the energy you consistently emanate. This is the hidden mechanism behind all manifestation. Your dominant vibration becomes your physical reality. When you truly grasp this principle, you will understand why some prayers seem to go unanswered, while others manifest with supernatural speed. Evelyn did not simply imagine living in a mansion. She became the version of herself who already did. Within months, a distant relative left her an estate she had never known existed. The universe simply matched her inner reality. Consider Albert, whose story mirrors this sacred law. A jazz musician who played in small cafes. He carried himself with the quiet confidence of someone whose music already touched millions. He spoke of his craft with reverence, dressed for each performance as if playing Carnegie Hall, and treated every listener as though they were part of a sold-out crowd. Soon, renowned musicians began appearing at his shows. Opportunities arose as naturally as dawn follows night. The world simply conformed to the energy he had already claimed as his reality. You see, manifestation flows not from wanting but from being. The universe does not respond to your requests, it responds to your resonance. When you embody the energy of your desire fulfilled, you activate forces beyond mortal understanding. Sacred practice for the next 24 hours. Step fully into the energy of your desire fulfilled. Move through your day as though what you seek is already yours. Let your words carry the authority of accomplishment. Let your actions reflect the grace of abundance. Let your heart beat with the rhythm of completion. This is not pretense, it is energetic. Alignment with what already exists in the quantum field. Dress as that version of yourself would dress. Speak as they would speak. Feel as they would feel. The universe cannot help but respond to such unwavering certainty. Chapter 16, The Space Between Asking and Receiving. In a village where patience was as rare as gold, there lived a woman, the holy space, named Ida, who discovered the sacred art of divine timing. Each morning she would write her heart's desires on delicate paper, seal them with care, and place them in an old brass mailbox at the edge of town. Then, and here lies the hidden wisdom, she would simply walk away. You see, between the asking and receiving lies a holy space. This pause, this sacred void, holds more power than most realize. It is here, in the quiet darkness between prayer and manifestation, that the universe performs its most exquisite work. Yet how many of you rush to check if your seed has sprouted mere moments after planting? The law operates with perfect precision, but it requires your trust in its timing. When you plant a desire in the fertile soil of the universe, any attempt to dig it up to check its progress only disrupts its natural unfolding. Your role is not to orchestrate the how or when. It is to maintain unwavering faith in the what. Consider George, the village blacksmith who learned this truth through fire and iron. For years he would rush his craft, pulling metal from flames before its time. His impatience led only to broken blades and wasted material, until one day, watching the coals glow, he understood. The fire knew better than he did. When he learned to trust the heat's wisdom, his work transformed from mere metal into art. The space between your prayer and its manifestation is not empty. It is pregnant with possibility, like the darkness before dawn or the silence between musical notes. This void is essential to the symphony of creation. Your desire has already been set in motion the moment you released it with faith. Think of the universe as a vast cosmic mailroom, sorting and arranging the perfect circumstances for your desire's delivery. Your only task is to maintain the energy of knowing it is done. Each doubt, each anxious check, each moment of disbelief sends ripples through the fabric of creation, disturbing the very forces working in your favor. Sacred practice. Light a candle and sit before its flame for 3 minutes. Let its steady light remind you of the unwavering certainty required in manifestation. As you watch the flame dance, repeat with quiet authority, "It is done, I trust the space between." Feel the truth of these words in every cell of your being. This is not a plea to the universe. It is a declaration of your alignment with its perfect timing. Chapter 17, The Inner World is the Only World. In a quiet studio bathed in morning light, there lived a portrait artist named Minnie, whose brush strokes held more power than she knew. Each day, she painted others with exquisite detail, capturing their essence on canvas. Yet when it came to her own self-portrait, she painted herself small, uncertain, hidden shadows. The truth that transforms lies not in the world you see, but in the self you paint within. Your reality is not a fixed landscape, but a mirror, reflecting back your deepest beliefs about who you are. When Minnie finally understood this, she began painting herself a new head held high, surrounded by light, eyes filled with purpose. As her brush revealed this new vision of herself, something mysterious stirred in the fabric of her world. You see, the universe responds not to your wishes or words, but to your self-concept, the living portrait you carry within. This internal image acts as a template that reality must follow, for such is the law of consciousness, change your inner portrait, and the outer world has no choice but to reshape itself. Accordingly, consider Ernest, who spent his days arranging books in the town library. For years he lived small, believing himself meant for little else. But in quiet moments between shelving, he began to visualize a new story of himself. In his mind's eye, he saw himself as wise, respected, sharing knowledge that transformed lives. He held this new self-image with such clarity that it began to seep into his very being. Soon, opportunities arose that matched this internal shift: speaking engagements, writing offers, chances to teach. The outer world simply aligned with the story he had written. Within, this is not imagination. It is the law of consciousness in action. Your circumstances are not random events, but perfect reflections of your self-concept. The world you experience is a living echo of the story you tell yourself about who you are. Change the inner narrative, and reality must respond. When you declare I am, you invoke the most powerful creative force in existence. These two words hold the power to reshape your entire universe. Yet many speak them carelessly, unconsciously reinforcing old patterns and limited beliefs. The key lies in consciously crafting a new self-image and holding it with unwavering faith until it manifests in form. Sacred practice. Write a new story of who you are. Begin each line with, I am the one who. Speak these words aloud each morning, feeling their truth in your very bones. This is not affirmation, it is declaration. You are not convincing yourself of something new. You are awakening to what has always been true. Let your voice carry the authority of one who knows their own power to reshape reality through the art of self-define. Chapter 18. Signs, Synchronicities, and Silent Affirmations. In a small village where flowers spoke their own language, there lived a florist named Gertrude who arranged bouquets with quiet devotion. One night she dreamed of a perfect yellow rose, its petals unfurled like rays of sunlight, its fragrance carrying whispers of possibility. Upon waking, she noticed yellow roses appearing in unexpected places, painted on a passing delivery truck, blooming in a neighbor's garden, featured on a magazine cover at the local shop. You must understand that the universe speaks in patterns, in gentle echoes that ripple through your daily experience. These synchronicities are not mere coincidence, they are the language of divine guidance, speaking through the ordinary moments of your life. Each yellow rose Gertrude encountered led her closer to her heart's desire, though she did not yet know how. The secret lies not in frantically searching for signs, but in cultivating a state of relaxed awareness. When you strain to find meaning, you often miss the subtle orchestration of grace unfolding around you. The universe whispers, it rarely shouts. Consider Warren, a merchant who spent years seeking answers through books, teachers, and distant travels. His breakthrough came only when he ceased his desperate quest. Walking home one evening, having finally surrendered his search, he found himself surrounded by precisely the guidance he needed. In overheard conversations, in the pattern of leaves on his path, in the timing of a chance encounter. These signs and synchronicities flow most freely when you release the grip of seeking. They appear not to those who demand them, but to those who remain open and receptive. The universe's guidance system operates through subtle nudges, gentle coincidences, and quiet confirmations that speak directly to your souls. Knowing your role is not to force these signs into existence or interpret every moment as meaningful. Rather, it is to cultivate a state of peaceful alertness, aware enough to notice the breadcrumbs of guidance, but relaxed enough to allow them to appear in their own time and way. Sacred practice. Ask for a sign today, then release the need to find it. Let go completely of how or when it might appear. As you move through your day, Maintain a gentle awareness without searching. Notice what naturally draws your attention. The sign may come in any form, a recurring number, a meaningful song, a perfectly timed encounter. Trust that the universe's response will be clear enough for you to recognize, yet subtle enough to require your presence. Chapter 19, The Sacred Act of Waiting Without Wanting. In a village where time flowed like honey, there lived a woman named Hattie, wife of the local piano tuner. Each morning she would open her windows to let bird song fill the empty rooms of her home. While others might have felt the weight of waiting for a family, Hattie moved through her days with a quiet grace, tending her garden and helping neighborhood children tune their simple melodies. You must understand that there exists a profound difference between wanting and waiting. When you want, you create resistance, an energetic declaration of absence that pushes away the very thing you seek. But when you wait in peace, carrying your desire like a sleeping seed in fertile soil, you align with the natural order of manifestation. The universe responds not to the intensity of your yearning, but to the quality of your faith. Hattie understood this ancient wisdom. She lived fully in each moment, neither denying her desire for children nor allowing it to consume her thoughts. She simply knew with unwavering certainty that life would unfold as it should, and so it did. Gradually her home filled with the laughter of adopted children, foster children, and eventually her own. Consider Ned, a humble gardener who planted his seeds with care, but held no attachment to their sprouting. He simply scattered them across his field and turned his attention elsewhere, knowing that nature's timing superseded his own. When harvest came, abundant and unexpected, he realized that his forgetting had been a form of faith. This is the sacred paradox of manifestation. What you chase often eludes you, while what you peacefully await tends to arrive with perfect timing. Your role is not to force the universe's hand or to bargain with time. It is to maintain that delicate balance between intention and surrender, between knowing and letting go. True waiting is not passive, it is a dynamic state of being where trust and patience intertwine. It is the art of holding space for your desire while remaining fully present in the now, understanding that this moment contains its own completeness. Sacred practice. Find a jar that speaks to your spirit, perhaps one that catches light or holds special meaning. Write your heart's desire on a slip of paper, fold it with intention, and place it in what shall become your trust jar. As you do this, acknowledge that you are not merely containing a wish. You are creating a sacred vessel for transformation. Release your desire into this space of divine timing, knowing that the universe's schedule is perfect. Let the jar serve as a physical reminder that your role is not to orchestrate the how or when, but to maintain peaceful certainty in the what. Wait without want, trust without timeline. Chapter 20, Move Without Forcing. In a village where artisans practiced their crafts, Viola kept a small workshop filled with fabrics of every hue and texture. Unlike other dressmakers who worked by schedule and demand, she waited for a mysterious signal, an inner whisper that guided her hands to certain clothes at certain times. You must understand that there exists a sacred rhythm to creation, a divine timing that, when honored, transforms ordinary work into extraordinary magic. This truth reveals itself through those rare souls who have learned to listen beyond the urgency of worldly demands. When you move from a place of alignment rather than obligation, your actions carry a different quality. They flow with grace, precision, and unexpected power. Viola never forced herself to create. She understood that inspiration, like a delicate bird, cannot be caged by schedules or summoned by will. Instead, she cultivated an inner stillness that allowed her to recognize the perfect moment for creation. her dresses became known throughout the land, not merely for their beauty, but for their inexplicable ability to transform those who wore them. Each garment carried within its seems the energy of divine timing and sacred attention. Consider Clyde, whose understanding of natural rhythms made him the most successful farmhand in the valley, while others planted according to calendars and conventional wisdom. He developed an intimate relationship with the wind. He would stand in the fields at dawn, eyes closed, feeling the subtle shifts in the air. Only when the winds whispered their readiness would he scatter his seeds. This is the difference between forced action and inspired movement. When you push against the natural flow, you exhaust yourself swimming upstream. But when you align with the universe's timing, even the most challenging tasks unfold with surprising ease. Your role is not to make things happen through sheer force of will. It is to develop such sensitivity to divine timing that you recognize the perfect moment for action. This requires a special kind of patience, not the passive waiting of the resigned, but the alert readiness of the wise. Sacred practice. Throughout your day, pause and ask yourself what feels light, aligned, and effortless right now. Notice which actions call to you with a gentle urgency, free from the heavy weight of should or must. Follow only these aligned impulses. Trust that when action flows from this space of inner knowing, it carries more power than 1,000 forced efforts. This is not laziness, it is sacred efficiency, the art of moving in harmony with universal forces rather than against them. Part 3. The embodied light, becoming the master creator. Chapter 21. Live as though it's done. In a small apartment above a bustling street, Loretta laid out her finest tablecloth each evening. With gentle precision, she placed 2 plates, 2 glasses, and 2 sets of silverware. The empty chair across from hers wasn't vacant. It held a certainty, a knowing so deep it transformed the very air around it. You see, the power of living in the end state is not about pretending or wishful thinking. It is about aligning your entire being with the truth that already exists in the unseen realm. When you set your table for what you know is coming, you're not hopping, you're declaring. The universe responds not to what you want, but to what you are. Every night, Loretta wasn't playing make-believe. She was vibrating at the frequency of completion. Her certainty was so absolute that doubt found no space to exist. This is the art of assumption, not a mental exercise, but a full embodiment of the state you claim as yours. Consider Wallace, who lost his beloved wife after 40 years of marriage. Instead of shrinking into solitude, he continued to press his best shirts, polish his shoes, and walk with the air of a man whose heart was full. He didn't wear his finest clothes to find love. He wore them because he knew love had already found him. The external reality had no choice but to align with his unwavering internal state. This is the secret that mystics have whispered through the ages. What you seek is seeking you, but it can only find you when you vibrate at the frequency of its fulfillment. Your role is not to make it happen, but to make it happen. When you live as if your desires are already manifest, you release the energetic contradiction of wanting. Wanting implies lack, being implies completion. It is this subtle shift that transforms your entire reality. Sacred practice. Take a quiet moment with your journal. Date your entry 1 year from today. Begin writing. Today I woke up and everything I wanted was already mine. Let your hand move across the page as your future self, describing the details of your fulfilled life. Write not from hope, but from the calm certainty of one who knows their vision has already materialized. Feel the truth of these words in every cell of your being. This is not an exercise in imagination. It is a declaration of what already exists in the eternal Now, chapter 22, you are the field, not the farmer, in a garden where roses climb ancient walls and lavender scents the morning air. Mildred knelt in the rich earth, her hands covered in soil. Day after day, she had tried to force her flowers to grow, pruning obsessively, measuring water to the drop, following every rule in every book. Yet her most magnificent blooms appeared in the spot she had forgotten to tend, where nature worked its quiet magic undisturbed. You are like this garden. The universe operates through you, not by your constant intervention. When you understand this truth, you release the exhausting need to orchestrate every detail of your manifestation. Your role is not to force the flower to bloom, it is to become the fertile soil from which all desires naturally spring forth. The law of attraction responds not to your actions, but to your state of being. Just as a garden flourishes in rich soil, your desires manifest most effortlessly when you cultivate the inner conditions that naturally attract them. This is why Arnold, the town clerk, witnessed a remarkable transformation in his community. For years, he had filed complaints and drafted proposals trying to improve his town through endless doing. But when he shifted his own energy, when he began to embody the peace and prosperity he wished to see, the entire town began to mirror his internal state. You see, the outer world cannot help but reflect your inner landscape. When you shift your focus from controlling outcomes to cultivating your inner garden, your thoughts, beliefs, and vibration, you activate the natural law of correspondence. Like attracts like, energy attracts its match. This is not about adding more tasks to your spiritual to-do list. It is about understanding that you are the soil from which all manifestation grows. Your state of being is the foundation, your energy is the fertile ground. As you align your frequency with what you desire, you become a natural attractor. Field drawing your desires to you through the law of resonance, sacred practice. Take your journal and write I am becoming. Let your pen flow not with what you want to have, but with who you are becoming. Instead of I want financial abundance, write I am becoming someone who naturally attracts and wisely stewards wealth. Rather than I want love, write I am becoming the embodiment of love itself. Then for the remainder of today, live as this person, move as they move, speak as they speak, feel as they feel. This is not pretense, it is energetic alignment with your highest truth. Chapter 23, it's already in motion. In a small room lit by morning sun, Ethel's needle danced through silk and lace, creating patterns that seemed to flow from some divine inspiration. Each stitch was a prayer, each seam a declaration of faith. Though no bride had commissioned this dress, her hands moved with certainty, guided by an inner knowing that transcended logic. You see, the universe operates in the unseen long before manifestation appears in the physical world. The moment desire takes root in your heart, countless invisible forces begin orchestrating its fulfillment. Like Ethel's dress, your dreams are being woven in the fabric of reality even now. Stitch by stitch, though your eyes may not yet perceive their form. The dress hung in Ethel's shop window for precisely 1 day before a bride, eyes shining with recognition, claimed it as her own. It fit as if it had been crafted for her alone, because in truth, it had been not through measurement or design, but through the seamless operation of universal law. This truth was also revealed to Rufus, whose fingers had danced across piano keys in smoky clubs for years. His heart yearning for greater stages, night after night worry had been his constant companion until, in a moment of sacred surrender, he released his grip on the outcome. 3 days later, an invitation arrived to play at the city's most prestigious venue. What appears as coincidence to the untrained eye is actually the precise orchestration of universal law. Every desire you hold exists first in the unseen realm before it manifests in the physical world. Like a seed beneath the soil, it grows in darkness before breaking through to light. Your role is not to dig up the seed to check its progress, but to trust the natural process of emergence. The universe moves with perfect timing, neither too fast nor too slow. When you release your attachment to when and how your desires will manifest, you allow the invisible forces to work unimpeded. Your trust becomes a magnetic force, drawing your manifestation closer. With each moment of faith, remember, the gap between desire and manifestation is not empty space, it is filled with divine activity, every thought aligned with your desire. Every moment of trust, every breath of faith is contributing to its materialization. The universe is always responding, always moving, always creating, even when you cannot see its workings. Sacred practice. Close your eyes and say with quiet conviction, what I desire is already on its way. I trust the process. Let these words sink deep into your consciousness, feeling their truth resonate in every cell of your being. Repeat this sacred affirmation 3 times, allowing each repetition to strengthen your connection to the invisible forces at work. As you speak these words, know that they are more than mere sounds, they are keys unlocking the doorway to manifestation. Chapter 24. The Soul remembers. In a sun-dappled meadow where wild flowers swayed like memories in the breeze, Virginia stood with eyes closed, breathing in the scent of her childhood. Here, decades ago, she had known a truth that time had gently veiled, the feeling of completeness, of being one with all that is. You too carry such memories within your soul. Beneath the layers of learned limitation and acquired doubt lies a knowing so pure, so complete that it needs no validation from the outer world. This knowing whispers of your divine inheritance, the natural state of abundance, joy and infinite possibility. That is your birthright. Like Virginia in that meadow, you need only return to that place of remembrance. The truth has never left you, you have simply forgotten to listen. Your soul speaks in the language of feeling in moments of quiet recognition, when the world's noise fades and something ancient and familiar stirs. Within, this truth revealed itself to Eugene, who discovered an old sketchbook in his attic. Within its chapters lay drawings of sculptures he had dreamed of creating. In his youth, as his fingers traced the lines, he felt not the ache of missed opportunity, but the surge of recognition, for these dreams had never ceased their quiet call. They had waited, patient as stone, for his return. The distance between who you are and who you wish to be is not a journey of becoming, it is a return to remembering. Your soul has always been aligned with your highest purpose. It is your mind that has wandered, distracted by the world's insistence on struggle and striving. In moments of pure presence, when the chattering mind grows still, you may sense this alignment. It feels like coming home to yourself, like finding a truth you never truly lost. This is not nostalgia for what was, but recognition of what has always been. Your soul holds the blueprint of your destiny, unchanged by time or circumstance. Like a compass pointing true north, it has never ceased guiding you toward your authentic path. The dreams that still call to you, the desires that persist despite all logic, these are echoes of your soul's knowing. The practice of remembering is not about reaching backward, but about allowing what is eternal to surface in the now. Your truest self has been waiting, like that meadow, like those sculptures, for you to return to its wisdom. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space where you can be undisturbed. Light a candle if you wish, creating a sacred atmosphere for this communion with your deepest self. Settle into a comfortable position and allow your breath to become slow and rhythmic. For the next 10 minutes, let your awareness rest in the feeling of your truest self, that unchanging essence that has always been with you. As you sink deeper into this meditation, gently pose the question to your soul: what did I once know that I forgot? Let this inquiry ripple through the depths of your being. Don't strain for answers, simply remain open and receptive to whatever whispers of wisdom emerge. Sometimes the response will come as a feeling, an image, or a knowing. Beyond words, trust what arises. Chapter 25. Let go of the timeline. In a small town where time was measured in the rhythmic ticking of countless clocks, Harriet grew up learning that every moment must be counted, tracked, and controlled. Her father's workshop was a symphony of precise movements where each second was captured and contained within gilded frames and measured hands. You see, Harriet had inherited her father's gift for timing, or so she thought. Each morning she would wind the clocks with expert care, ensuring that not a moment would slip away uncounted. Her life became a careful calculation of when things should happen, must happen, could happen. Yet the universe holds a deeper wisdom about time, one that transcends the mechanical measurement of moments. When desires are bound by dates and deadlines, they become prisoners of your expectations rather than expressions of divine order. Like Harriet, you may have learned to live by the clock of human timing, but there exists a greater clockwork, the perfect orchestration of universal forces that know exactly when each seed should sprout, each flower should bloom, each dream should manifest. Harriet's transformation began the day her prized pocket watch stopped working. No amount of skill could revive its movement. In that eternal moment between tick and talk, she glimpsed a truth. Time was not her master but her companion in creation. This wisdom flows through Earl's story as well, a merchant who once lived by strict timelines and rigid goals. He maintained endless lists of when each achievement should materialize. Yet the more he gripped the when, the more his desires seemed to slip through his fingers like sand. It was only after Earl stored away his calendar of manifestations that the universe revealed its perfect timing. The business partnership he had pushed to secure for months appeared effortlessly when he released his grip on when it should happen. The home he had tried to force into existence manifested when he surrendered his timeline to divine wisdom. The mechanical clock measures moments, but divine timing measures readiness. Your role is not to determine when, it is to hold unwavering faith in the what. The universe's timing is always perfect, always precise, always in harmony with the highest good of all involved. When you release the need to control the timeline of your manifestations, you enter a state of grace where miracles unfold according to a wisdom far greater than human scheduling. This is not about passive waiting, it is about active trust in the perfect unfoldment of your desires. Sacred practice: burn or bury a note with a deadline attached to your desire. Replace it with a simple yet profound declaration in perfect time. Let this ritual symbolize your complete surrender to divine timing. As you watch the paper burn or return to earth, feel the weight of your temporal demands dissolve. This sacred act reinforces your trust in the universe's wisdom and releases the energetic bonds of your human timelines. Know that by performing this ceremony, you align yourself with the cosmic flow of perfect manifestation. Chapter 26. The inner state is the key. In a concert hall where expectations hung heavy as velvet curtains, Beatrice sat before the grand piano. For years, she had measured her worth by the hours spent practicing, believing that mastery lived in the repetition of notes. Yet something was missing, not in the music, but in her. You see, the universe responds not to your actions, but to your frequency. Like an instrument that must be perfectly tuned, your emotional state creates the resonance that attracts or repels what you desire. This is the sacred law that most have forgotten. Your outer world mirrors your inner. Harmony. Beatrice discovered this truth one evening when, exhausted from endless rehearsals, she simply sat at the piano and allowed herself to feel complete. In that moment of wholeness, her fingers moved across the keys with a grace that no amount of practice had ever produced. The music flowed not from her mind but from her state of being. This is the alchemy that transforms ordinary moments into manifestations. When you shift your emotional signature from striving to arriving, from reaching to receiving, the universe cannot help but reflect this new frequency back to you. Consider Oscar, whose small barber shop had known only worried thoughts and careful calculations. Each day he would count his customers and fret about tomorrow, but something changed when he began to approach his work with wonder instead of worry. He started seeing the sacred in the simple act of serving others, finding joy in the quiet moments between clients. As his inner state shifted from anxiety to appreciation, his outer world responded in kind. New customers appeared, conversations deepened, and opportunities unfolded, not because he had changed his actions, but because he had changed his energy. This is the forgotten truth. Your emotional state is your creative command to the universe. When you maintain an inner frequency of peace, abundance, or joy, you become a magnet for experiences that match this vibration. It is not about forcing feelings or denying challenges. It is about choosing your dominant emotional tone with conscious awareness. The power of manifestation does not lie in what you do, but in who you are being while you do it. Like Beatrice at her piano and Oscar in his shop, your greatest creations will flow not from effort, but from embodiment. Sacred practice. Choose one emotional state to practice today: joy, peace, or certainty, and embody it fully. Let this feeling permeate your entire being, as though you are steeping yourself in its essence. Rather than wearing it like a garment, become it completely, allowing this vibration to radiate from your core outward. Notice how this conscious choice of emotional frequency begins to shape the moments and encounters that unfold before you. Chapter 27. Become before you receive. In the quiet corners of an ancient library, where wisdom whispered from dusty shelves, Agatha moved among the books with a secret knowing in her heart, though her name tag read librarian. She carried herself as though her own novels already graced these hallowed halls. Each morning she would straighten her spine, lift her chin, and walk the aisles as though she were conducting research for her next bestseller. You see, most await external validation before claiming their identity. They believe circumstances must change before they can become who they truly are, yet this inverts the sacred law of creation. Your identity is not a result, it is the cause. When you step into the energy of who you are becoming, the universe conspires to match your conviction. Agatha understood this. She didn't merely dream of being an author. She became one in her bearing, her speech, her choices. She began hosting writing workshops in the library's backroom, not as a hopeful amateur, but as someone who had something valuable to share. She spoke about her stories not with shy uncertainty, but with quiet confidence. Within months, the very essence she embodied began materializing in her external world. Publishers who frequented the library noticed her presence. Opportunities arose as naturally as dawn follows night. She had not changed her circumstances, she had changed her energy. This truth was also known by Norris, who polished shoes on a busy street corner. One day he realized that his position did not determine his posture. He began carrying himself with the dignity of royalty, treating each customer as though they sat before a throne rather than a wooden stool. His movements became deliberate, his words measured and wise. The world could not help but respond to this shift in his energy. Business executives who once rushed past now stopped, drawn by his regal presence. They spoke to him not as a shoe shiner, but as a confidant, a keeper of wisdom. His income tripled not because he polished shoes differently, but because he had crowned himself first in his own mind. This is the veiled truth that transforms mere wanting into having. You must first become in energy what you wish to see in form. The outer world will arrange itself to match your inner knowledge. It has no choice. This is the law. Sacred practice. Write down in vivid detail who you would become once your deepest desire manifests into form. Describe not just the outer circumstances, but the inner qualities, the way you would carry yourself, how you would speak, and what wisdom you would embody. Then, starting this very moment, step fully into that identity. Let it infuse your thoughts, your words, your movements. Walk through the world as though your desire has already been fulfilled, for in the realm of spirit, it already has. This is not pretense, it is claiming the truth of who you are meant to be. Chapter 28, The Effortless Secret. Unveiled, in a small town where light and shadow danced their eternal waltz, Lucille stood in her darkened room, her unseeing eyes closed, yet radiating an inner luminescence that needed no physical sight. You see, she had discovered what so many still search for, the truth that light does not come from without, but wells up from within. Each morning, Lucille would rise and move to music only her soul could hear. Not with hope of seeing again, but because she had already found what she truly sought, the feeling of being whole, complete, alive. Her dance was not a prayer for healing, it was healing itself manifested through movement. This reveals the deepest mystery of manifestation. What you seek is not separate from you. It never was. The light you chase has always lived in yourselves, waiting to be remembered. When you cease the endless reaching and rest in the knowing that you are already what you desire to become, the universe has no choice but to mirror this truth back to you. Horus discovered this same principle through a different door. For years he had pushed and pulled at life, trying to force his desires into being. He attended every seminar, recited every affirmation, followed every technique, yet his dreams remained distant stars, always just beyond reach. Then one ordinary Tuesday, sitting in his garden, something shifted. He stopped trying, not in defeat, but in profound recognition. In that moment of surrender, he realized he had been like a fish swimming desperately in search of water, unaware it was already surrounding him, sustaining him, being him. That very afternoon, the phone calls began. The opportunities he had chased for so long started appearing one after another, as naturally as leaves falling from autumn trees. Nothing in his external world had changed, except everything had changed because he had finally aligned with what was already true. This is the secret that has been hidden in plain sight throughout the ages. Manifestation is not about becoming something you are not. It is about aligning with what you already are. The universe does not need to be convinced to give you what you want. It is already giving you what you are being. When you release the struggle, when you cease the endless effort to prove yourself worthy, when you simply allow yourself to be what you have always been, that is when magic unfolds, not because you finally earned it, but because you finally allowed what was always yours. Sacred practice. Whisper to yourself, I already have it. It is done, it is mine. Feel it then. Go about your day in peace. Chapter 29, No more chasing, only choosing. In the heart of a bustling market square, Matilda stood quietly. Amidst the chaos, her presence a stark contrast to the frenetic energy around her. You might have passed her by not knowing you were witnessing a profound transformation in motion. For in that moment, she was not seeking, not yearning, not reaching, she was choosing. This is the forgotten power that sleeps within you, the ability to choose Not to wish, not to want, not to hope, but to choose. When Matilda shifted from seeking to choosing, she altered the very fabric of her reality. She did not say, I want ease, she declared, I choose ease. She did not pray for love, she selected it as naturally as breathing. She did not chase wealth, she claimed it as her birthright. The universe responds not to your preferences, but to your frequencies. When you merely prefer something, you vibrate at the frequency of wanting, but when you choose something, you vibrate at the frequency of having. This is the subtle yet profound difference that changes everything. Consider Elmer, who had scattered his energy across countless job applications, each one a desperate plea to be chosen. His mailbox overflowed with rejections until the day he stopped applying and started choosing. He sat in his quiet room and made a sovereign decision. This position is mine. He didn't send out another application. He didn't need to. The next morning, the phone rang with the very opportunity he had chosen in his heart. This is not coincidence, it is law. When you choose, you activate a power greater than any force of effort or strategy. You align with the frequency of what you desire, and in doing so, you become a magnet for its physical manifestation. The difference between seeking and choosing is the difference between chasing a mirage and drinking from a well. One depletes you, the other nourishes you. One keeps you running, the other plants you firmly in your power. You have been taught to seek, to strive, to pursue, but the ancient truth whispers of a different way. Choose, claim, become. The universe does not respond to your pursuit, it responds to your choice. When you truly choose something, you are not expressing a preference for the future. You are declaring a truth in the present. Sacred practice. Say out loud, I choose this. I claim this. I no longer chase. Then write it down and sign your name. Chapter 30. You were never separate. In the quiet hours before dawn, Rose's hands moved with gentle certainty as she guided new life into being. Through countless births, she had learned the deepest truth that creation requires no force, only presence. As she witnessed each miracle unfold, she recognized that same divine process stirring within her own being. You too are this creation in motion. Like Rosa, you have perhaps believed that manifestation was something you needed to orchestrate, to push into being. Yet in the sacred space between breaths, between thoughts, between moments of doing, lies the profound realization: you are not separate from the creative force itself. This is not a truth to be learned but remembered. Your very existence is proof of the universe's creative power flowing through you. Every desire that stirs in your heart is not an external goal to be chased, but an internal knowing to be unveiled. Consider George, whose fingers had danced across piano strings for decades, always searching for perfect pitch. One ordinary afternoon, as sunlight streamed through his workshop window, he paused between notes. In that moment of stillness, he realized that every adjustment, every gentle turn of his tuning fork had been guided by something greater than himself. He had never been alone in his craft. He had always been an instrument of divine harmony. This is the final key. You are not reaching towards something distant. You are remembering what has always been true. The power you seek does not live in some far-off realm. It pulses in your very selves. Your desires are not external treasures to be hunted, but internal jewels waiting to be acknowledged. When you truly understand this, manifestation becomes as natural as breathing. You no longer strive to attract or create. You simply allow what is already yours to express itself through you. Like a midwife who knows birth requires no instruction, only assistance, you begin to trust the divine process that has always been at work within you. This is not the end of your journey, but a return to your beginning. You are not learning to manifest, you are remembering that you are manifesting itself. Every breath you take is evidence of this truth. every heartbeat. Confirms it, you are not separate from Source, you never were. Sacred practice. Place your hand on your heart and say, I am one with all that is. I am already whole, I am already home. Conclusion. Through these sacred chapters, an ancient truth has stirred within you, not as new knowledge, but as a remembrance, like a song your soul has always known. It resonates in perfect harmony with who you truly are. You were never meant to chase manifestation, you are manifesting itself. Every breath you take is creation in motion. Every heartbeat pulses with the same force that births stars. You are not separate from the universal power, you are its expression. The seeking ends here, not because you have found something, but because you have remembered who you are. Let this wisdom settle into your bones. You do not need to learn how to attract or manifest. These abilities are as natural to you as gravity is to Earth. You are the field from which all possibilities grow. You are the flame that transforms energy into form. You are the frequency that calls your desires home. The ancient mystics did not discover this truth, they remembered it. Now you too have recalled what your soul never forgot, that you are not merely a creator but creation itself. The power you sought was never outside you. It flows through your veins, speaks through your voice, moves through your being. From this moment forward, release the need to become. You already are. Let go of the struggle to manifest. Simply be who you are, pure creative force in human form. Your desires are not distant dreams to be chased, but expressions of your divine nature waiting to be acknowledged. You are the secret you have been seeking. You are the magic you wish to master. You are the power you longed to access. Walk forward now in this knowing, not as one who must learn to create, but as one who finally remembers they have been creating all along. Your journey doesn't end here. Click on this next audiobook that I promise will completely transform your perspective.